Good afternoon, folks. My name is Duke Dennis, and I'm an upcoming journalist who has brought to you today a World War II veteran. This veteran is a survivor of the brutal Battle of Normandy. His name is Jack Hughes, and he was awarded with both the Purple Heart and the Medal of Honor.
Good afternoon.
Let's start from the beginning. What was it like being drafted into the war? What was it like to train?
Well, it was probably about a month or so after I graduated high school. I went to check the mail, and I noticed a letter. I feared seeing the moment I heard talks of this letter in the war, in the draft. I was overcome with fear for days, not coming to my senses until I got a phone call from one of my good friends from high school. He had also received a letter in the mail that day. We were drafted into the Army, and together experienced many things. We learned how to take apart, empty, and reload almost every single weapon you could imagine. We were conditioned so that we could run for days and nights, if necessary. It all went by pretty quick due to the need of manpower. During the war, we became a part of the infantry.
Wow, for someone just getting out of high school, I'm sure you were overcome with fear, just as anyone would be. What were your first experiences of the war like?
When we first got to our station, I met our lieutenant, Dan. He was an odd fellow, not much older than me, kind of stubby, but he knew how to lead. We received special orders. We were told that we would be going to Normandy, France for D-Day. Leading up to this battle, we all knew that we were going to die there. When the day came, we got on our boats. I remember getting sick and puking, not knowing if I would be able to come home to see my family and the love of my life. I remember I had a picture of her in my helmet, but that helmet was lost the moment I left the boat. Bullets flew by my head the instant we arrived on the beach. I turned towards my friend to see what he was thinking. At that time, but it was too late. He had already been killed.
Wow, I see now why they call it D-Day.
Yes, I was in a state of shock, what felt like forever. I was so full of fear that I couldn't move. That was until Dan grabbed me and shook me out of it. Thinking back, if it was not for him, I would be a dead man. He said to me, "You can either stay here and die, or come with me and live."
His leadership is truly incredible. If you don't mind my asking, is he still around today?
Soon after this, he was shot too. We had just made it past the beach. He was looking back toward our group, telling us to hurry to a safe position. And then he was shot in his legs and also in his chest. I knew that there was no saving him from that, but I couldn't just leave him there. I had to drag him out to show him that we could really take this beach. I attempted to pick him up, but in my struggle, I was also shot in the arm. I still have a scar today. I quickly dragged his body up the hill and stopped when I saw two enemy soldiers, not even 10 feet in front of me. One of them was the one who had shot me, and the other was the one who had shot Dan. I quickly readied my weapon and took them both down with 2 shots. Those were the first people I killed in war.
I have to ask, did Lieutenant Dan die before he got to see you take it? What did you do to strategically end this fight?
No, those 2 soldiers were defending the machine guns that were slaughtering most of our men. I quickly entered the building containing the machine guns and gunned down the men that were controlling them. This was what had won us that beach. Dan looked at me with proud eyes before passing on. After this, I was quickly awarded with his position, lieutenant. A few months had passed where I was able to return to the base and take a bit of a breather. It was during December that I was called upon again to fight in the Battle of the Bulge. I was quickly deployed in Luxembourg. I had a similar deployment as the first. As the moment I arrived, bullets sort of passed my head off trip. I killed 3 enemies soldiers that were shooting at my group with a grenade. My group thanked me many times as they knew if I had not killed those soldiers, they would be dead. The battle went by very quickly. I do not remember many of the details, but I knew that I had won that battle, that I was done with the war. It was when I started to notice signs of PTSD kicking in.
When you returned home from the war, how did PTSD affect you?
When I had gone back from war, PTSD started to kick in. I went to the beach for the first time. Got on the water, the waves just made me remember that awful day. I couldn't do it. And every once in a while, I'll be sleeping, have terrible nightmares of Dan getting shot, and my good buddy. It's been a struggle, real struggle, living with PTSD, but I've had my loved ones help me.
I understand. Huge thanks to Jack Hughes for coming on.
I want to say a big thank you to Duke Dennis for having me on this talk show, letting me share my stories to teach the youth. Thank you.